Hello, this is a brief introduction to electrical load lines. This is Alex Ossels from Boston University. So one thing that we could do to analyze sources and sinks and various loads is we could draw what we call a load graph or a load line of it, where you have two-dimensional axis and you could either have like a voltage in the current, or the other way around, you could have voltage on your horizontal, current on your vertical. It really depends on what you're trying to get out of the graph. So usually your horizontal axis is your independent variable and your vertical is your dependent variable, but as I said, it really depends on what you're trying to do. So for this example, we're going to use this construct right here, where currents on our independent and voltages are dependent variable. And now if we want to think of what's the load line for a simple device such as a resistor, if we start with the equation for a resistor, V equals IR, what we could do is if we move the I down here, we're left with R. And we could see we kind of have a slope equation right here. If we had like a delta V over delta I, that equals the resistance. And we could graph that on our graph, where the slope of this line right here is just the rise or the run, or the change in voltage over the change in current. So this is a really simple device, probably arguably one of the most simple devices is a resistor. It has this linear load line. So there are other things that are more complicated, like if we look at an LED, draw the LED symbol right there with the arrows. When we apply a voltage across the terminals, a certain current will flow, or conversely, if we pass a current through it, it'll develop a certain voltage. And the IV curve for the LED is very nonlinear. So it starts out at 0, like say if you're applying a current to it, the voltage stays really low. And then at a certain point, it kind of hits what we call the knee of the curve and it takes off. And that goes on, forever and ever right there. And it happens to be that this threshold voltage for a red LED is approximately 1.9 volts. So if we look at this one right here, it's saying that, well, if we apply, say, 2 volts to the LED, right, the current's going to go to infinity, and we know in reality that won't happen. It'll eventually burn out. And we know that power is how we measure, we know we can measure power, voltage times current, and all devices have a power rating after which they'll get too hot and they'll burn out or they'll explode. So let's just arbitrarily choose a point right here. If we say when the product of I and V is greater than that, then the device is going to burn out. And so we could see if we're either increasing our voltage or our current, the LED will light up somewhere in this region, then in that region it'll go up in smoke. It no longer light up anymore. So another one that we're familiar with is a Thevenin equivalent source. So Thevenin equivalent source looks like this. Or VTH, or open circuit voltage, RTH, right there. We can make a load line for the Thevenin equivalent source. So easiest way to do that graphically is if we think of the open circuit scenario where there's no connection between here and there, so thus no current can flow in this device. And if no current's flowing, our I is 0. So that means that parameter is going to fall somewhere along the y-intercept, or the vertical intercept on the graph. And if we look at the circuit, if no current's flowing, RTH equals 0, therefore the voltage appearing here equals VTH. So if we just put in a VTH right there, that gives us one of our points for our load line. Now we have the other scenario where if we short circuit this, if we measure the voltage across this short circuit at 0, because it's an ideal wire, and the current is going to be maxed out at that point. So voltage is 0, now we're along the x-intercept, and then our current's going to be as high as it can be, which is going to be VTH divided by RTH is going to be the current. So we could put that point right in there, and then this is another linear device. If we connect the lines between the two, now we have our load line for our Thevenin equivalent. So it turns out the slope of this line right here, or the negative slope of this, is equal to RTH. Like a delta V over delta I equals minus RTH. And it's interesting that the resistance is really showing up as negative. And if you think about it, that kind of makes sense. This is a source. It's providing energy, whereas a resistor is taking out energy. So it has a negative resistance. Whereas the resistor, if we just put in a load line for a resistor right here, has a positive slope. That's something that dissipates the energy. And now what we could do if we want to use these load lines is, say, if we have simple voltage divider circuit right there, we know this resistor value, say it's R1 or something, and it has some kind of slope. If we put that on there, if we want to find the operating point, meaning what the voltage is across this resistor and what the current is through it, we could just find out where they intercept, and that's going to give us the current through the device and also the voltage across the device, voltage across and current through. And if you look at that, so this is some arbitrary value. If we decrease the resistance here, we know that the current's going to go up and the voltage is going to go down. And we could see that right there. So voltage goes down because we have a bigger load across there, right? More current's flowing, which means there's going to be a larger voltage drop across RTH, a smaller one across R1, and we're going to have this effect right here. Same thing if we go to a higher resistance, has a much taller slope, and less current's going to flow, RTH is going to have less of a drop, more of the voltage is going to appear across R1. So there's another interesting way to look at this. So say if this is our operating point right there, that the voltage across our resistor, R1, is right here. The voltage across our Thevenin source, or our Thevenin resistance, RTH, is right here. And that sums up to VTH, right? And we know all the voltages have to sum up to 0. And so if we have VTH minus RTH minus R1, we're summing back to 0. So same thing, we know that the current in the loop is the same everywhere. So the current in the loop is just going to be the horizontal projection of that load point right there. Now say if we want to make a more interesting circuit, take out our R and throw in our red LED again. There, and we recall that the LED, try to clean up the graph, had a very nonlinear load curve, something like this right here. And so the operating point here is the same thing. It's where the lines cross right there. And so this would be, the voltage across the LED is this component right here. Voltage across the Thevenin resistance is this part right here. So same thing, we could find our voltage across the LED and then the current going through it. And the currents are all the same, across or through both of the devices. So that would just project down here, and that would be whatever the current is going through the whole circuit. And so if we wanted to say, ensure that our LED wasn't going to burn out, like imagine we had a much stronger Thevenin equivalent that had a short circuit current down there, and so now the Thevenin equivalent load line looks something like this. So if we know our LED burns out at this point right here, that's saying that if we connected our LED directly up to this particular Thevenin equivalent circuit, it would burn out because our power is going to be past the maximum on the load line right there. So that's another way to kind of graphically look at these things. So let's look at how a Norton equivalent would behave. So we have our current source there, and we know that an ideal current source has an infinite amount of resistance right here, because what that says is that we're not losing any of the current at all back through that loop right there. And what that means on the load line right here, if that truly was infinite, it would have an infinite slope. And well, we know that's not true. There's always some finite resistance right here. So that finite resistance is going to cause this to have a slightly negative slope. And as we know, if this resistance is going to infinity, almost no matter what this current is, the voltage is going to be going towards infinity, right? Because we have like IR equals V. You know, so that's how you could see this would just go off the top of the screen, you know, and be at some very high point. And if we look at our Thevenin equivalent circuit, you know, that our ideal Thevenin equivalent circuit is just the voltage source and RTH equals 0 right there. We know that's also not a real thing. There's always going to be some resistance right here, and that's going to cause this always to slightly have that negative slope, even if it goes on and on and on. Even if it was something really huge like the biggest battery in the world, there's always going to be a little bit of a slope right there. So Thevenin and Norton and the load lines are really good ways to get a handle on how to interface different circuits.